Night clung to the city, a velvet cloak hiding a den of iniquity. In a dimly lit room above a raucous pub, three figures huddled. Marco, the brains, his eyes sharp and calculating. Sal, the muscle, his face a roadmap of past brawls. And Lily, the infiltrator, her beauty as dangerous as any weapon. The air crackled with anticipation. Tonight they would become legends. Their target, the Diamond of Hope, a heart-stopping jewel said to be cursed, resting in the iron grip of the city's most secure vault. Marco, driven by a thirst to prove his genius, had spent months studying blueprints, analyzing security protocols, and plotting every possible outcome. Sal, motivated by a deep-seated grudge against the Diamond's owner, yearned to see the arrogant tycoon brought low. Lily, however, craved something simpler, escape from the suffocating poverty that had always been her reality. The stakes were high, the risks even higher. But for these three souls on the fringes of society, the potential reward outweighed any danger. Tonight, they would rewrite their destinies. Cigarette smoke swirled around Marco's head, forming ephemeral maps of the vault. He laid out his plan with the precision of a surgeon, his voice a low murmur that commanded attention. Sal, his skepticism evident in the furrow of his brow, grunted, "Sounds too complicated. Let's just bash some heads and grab the rock." "Brute force is a fool's game, Sal," Marco countered, his gaze unwavering. "This requires finesse, timing, artistry." He pointed to a network of lines and circles on the blueprint. "We exploit their security system, use their cameras against them." "Lily," he turned to her, "you're the key." Lily, her eyes gleaming with a mixture of excitement and trepidation, nodded slowly. Her role involved exploiting her charm and guile to gain access to a secure area, a crucial step in Marco's intricate plan. The air grew thick with the weight of their shared ambition, the smell of stale smoke mingling with the tang of nervous sweat. Tonight was not just about stealing a diamond, it was about proving their worth, defying the hand life had dealt them. They were shadows, about to step into the light. The city held its breath as the clock ticked past midnight. Outside the imposing facade of the museum housing the Diamond of Hope, the night was a stage for their daring performance. Sal, disguised as a security guard, disabled the external cameras with practiced ease, his movements betraying years spent on the wrong side of the law. Lily, a vision in an elegant gown, charmed her way past the front desk, her every word and gesture a calculated masterpiece of deception. Meanwhile, Marco, a phantom in the shadows, navigated the museum's labyrinthine corridors, his steps guided by the blueprints he had committed to memory. Each member of the trio moved with precision, their synchronized actions a testament to Marco's meticulous planning. The air thrummed with tension, every creak of the floorboards, every distant siren, amplifying the stakes of their gamble. As Marco reached the vault, a bead of sweat trickled down his temple. The heavy steel door, adorned with multiple locks and reinforced hinges, stood between him and their prize. He worked quickly, his nimble fingers dancing over the keypad, inputting the codes he had painstakingly deciphered, but something was wrong. The final lock, a digital behemoth, refused to budge. An unexpected software update, perhaps? Panic gnawed at the edges of his composure. He glanced at his watch, his heart pounding against his ribs like a caged animal. Time, their most valuable asset, was slipping away. The carefully constructed facade of their plan began to crumble, threatening to bury them under the weight of their ambition. "What's the holdup?" Sal's voice, a low growl, crackled through the earpiece. The tension in his voice was palpable, a reflection of the unfolding chaos. Marco, his mind racing, tried to maintain his composure. "We've hit a snag," he whispered, his voice strained. "Give me a minute." But a minute was a luxury they didn't have. A high-pitched alarm pierced the silence, shattering the illusion of control. Red lights bathed the hallway in an eerie glow, the sound of approaching footsteps echoing ominously. Lily's voice, laced with panic, filled his earpiece. "Marco, we've been made! Get out of there!" The carefully orchestrated heist had dissolved into chaos, leaving them scrambling to salvage their escape and their lives. The Diamond of Hope, once so close, now seemed a million miles away. Adrenaline surged through Marco's veins. The weight of failure, of capture, pressed down on him. He could hear Sal's heavy footsteps pounding towards him, his voice a desperate roar. "Marco, we gotta go now!" But Marco hesitated, his gaze fixed on the vault, now bathed in the harsh glare of emergency lights. The Diamond of Hope, nestled amongst other priceless artifacts, glittered tantalizingly. Greed warred with logic. Sal grabbed his arm, his grip like a vice. "Leave it, Marco, it's not worth dying for." But Marco, blinded by desperation, saw only the prize. He wrenched free, his eyes burning with a dangerous light. "Go, I'll catch up," he yelled, his voice lost in the cacophony of alarms and shouts. Sal, his face a mixture of anger and resignation, turned and sprinted towards the emergency exit, leaving Marco alone with his demons. The museum had become a labyrinth of shadows and echoing shouts. Marco, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs, sprinted through the darkened corridors, the Diamond of Hope a heavy weight in his pocket. He could hear the sirens in the distance, getting closer, their wail a harbinger of his impending doom. Security guards fanned out, their flashlights cutting through the darkness, searching for the intruders who had dared to breach their fortress. He dodged and weaved, his lungs burning, his legs screaming for respite. The back entrance, his planned escape route, was blocked by two guards, their faces grim, their guns drawn. Trapped like a rat in a maze, Marco knew he had one chance, one desperate gamble to escape the tightening net. Section 8. The Long Arm of the Law. Sirens wailed, their piercing cries slicing through the night. Police cars, their lights painting the darkness in strobing hues of red and blue, surrounded the museum. Sal, his chest heaving, watched from the cover of a nearby alleyway, his heart sinking with each passing moment. He had made it out, but Marco, a cold knot of fear twisted in his gut. He knew Marco's recklessness, his single-minded determination. He had warned him, but some lessons were learned only through bitter experience. As the first handcuffed figures were led out of the museum, their faces pale and drawn, Sal knew deep down that Marco wouldn't be so lucky. The long arm of the law, so easily evaded in the past, had finally caught up with them. The price of their ambition, Sal realized with a chilling certainty, was far higher than they had ever imagined. Section 9. Betrayal's Bitter Taste. Lily, her heart a drum in her chest, melted into the shadows of a nearby park. She had ditched the elegant gown, opting for the anonymity of nondescript clothing. The plan had gone to hell, and she cursed Marco's greed, his foolish obsession with the diamond. Reaching a secluded bench, she pulled out her phone, her fingers trembling as she dialed a number she had memorized for emergencies. "He's got the diamond," she whispered, her voice tight with fear and a strange sense of satisfaction. The museum, the usual place. The voice on the other end, a gruff, unfamiliar baritone, acknowledged her message. Lily hung up, a chill running down her spine. Betrayal was a bitter pill to swallow, but survival, she had learned, often demanded difficult choices. Section 10. A Trail of Broken Dreams. Weeks later, in a seedy bar on the edge of the city, Sal nursed a drink, his eyes reflecting the weight of their failed heist and the ghost of betrayal. He had managed to evade the police dragnet, but the victory felt hollow. Marco was gone, swallowed by the criminal justice system, his dreams of grandeur shattered. Lily, he had learned, had vanished, her whereabouts unknown. He suspected she had cut a deal, traded their freedom for her own. The Diamond of Hope, never recovered, became the stuff of legends, a shimmering symbol of their audacious failure. Sal, left with nothing but regrets and the bitter taste of what could have been, knew that some lines you just didn't cross, some dreams were destined to remain out of reach. The heist, once a beacon of hope, had become a trail of broken dreams, a stark reminder of the price of greed and the fickle hand of fate. Section 11. The Price of Greed. Newspapers touted the daring heist and its dramatic aftermath. The Diamond of Hope, they claimed, was cursed, bringing misfortune to all who dared possess it. But Sal knew the truth. The real curse wasn't the diamond, it was the insatiable greed that consumed people, twisting their desires, blinding them to the consequences. He had seen it in Marco's eyes, that feverish glint that had ultimately led to his downfall. He had felt it tugging at his own soul, tempting him with promises of wealth and power. In the end, the heist hadn't just cost them their freedom, it had cost them their friendship, their loyalty, their humanity. As he walked away from the bar, disappearing into the anonymity of the city, Sal carried a heavy truth. Some treasures, he realized, were not meant to be possessed, and the true price of greed was often paid in ways you could never imagine.